He says, I've seen people that they do everything to make sure they bring in Shabbos at the last minute. But when Shabbos comes out, they bring it out the second they can. And really, it shows that they have a lack of emunah.
Wherever you get your podcasts from, or our own website, prismoftorah.com. This is the Prism of Torah with Rabbi Asaf Aaron Prisman. This week, Parshas Bereishis, Shabbos and Tefilla, the winning combo.
Shalom to everyone. Parshas Bereishis, I want to share with you two different ideas which I think complement each other very nicely. The first idea is Shabbos and the second idea is Tefillah. Shabbos, we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in the first 6 days, and then on the seventh day, what we all say in Kiddush, Hashem completed the creation of the world, and then there's a key statement that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. And on that, I want to touch upon, because the Chofetz Chaim says something very interesting over here. He says that there's some people that he doesn't understand what a low level of emunah they have, that they don't keep Shabbos to its fullest extent. And he explains himself. He says, I've seen people that they do everything to make sure they bring in Shabbos at the last minute. But when Shabbos comes out, they bring it out the second they can. And really, it shows that they have a lack of emunah. Why? Or maybe a lack of knowledge of what we're going to share with you right now. The Chofetz Chaim says that we all know that Adam HaRishon, also related to this parsha, got the curse of Bezeat Apecha Tochal Lachem, that he has to work really hard to earn a living. But that, says the Chofetz Chaim, that's only on the 6 days, but not on Shabbos. Hafuch, Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sanctified and made it Kadosh. He mekoir habracha. Hafuch, that's where the blessing comes from. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mekadesh the Shabbos. And hence, if you truly believe that, you would want to extend Shabbos as much as you can. Because over there, it's a blackout period for the curse that Hashem gave to all of us since the Chet of Adam HaRishon. And therefore, a person should fakert, he should do his best to prolong his Shabbos, which, by the way, is also the same period of time that the fire of Gehenna stops and ceases to work. Ad kedei kach, that one of the reasons, it's even brought in the halacha, that one of the reasons that we start Ma'ariv slowly and we say Vehurachu michaper avoin, more so on Motzei Shabbos as opposed to every other day, is because we're trying to prolong a bit more, so the people that are going through a tough time in Gehenna, it'll prolong the timeout period of the fire of Gehenna. Al kol panim, back to us. So the Chofetz Chaim says, a person that really believes, understands this point, that Shabbos gets nurtured from the blessing of Kadosh Baruch Hu, whereas the 6 days of the week get nurtured from the klal of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the curse that he gave Adam HaRishon, Bezeat Apecha Tochal Lachem. He'd do everything he can to prolong his Shabbos. And to that point, I want to close this first idea of the importance of Shabbos and how much we should connect to Shabbos. And we know Shabbos is the mekoir habracha. That's the source of the blessing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed it to that extent. And I'll share with you a true story that's brought down in a sefer called Hadeya Ve'adibur, Chelek Gimel. It's a sefer written by the Gaon Reb Zalman Sorotzkin Zatzal. And he himself witnessed the following event that happened with Heilige Chofetz Chaim. There was the Rav of the city of Jetel. Over there was a certain person that had parents that brought him up in the ways of Hashem. They were God-fearing Jews. And this son, he he did something similar to what a taxi would do. He picked up people from the train, which I guess in those days was like the airport, and brought them to the city. And that's how he made Parnasa. With the times, it seemed like he was really kind of cutting it close to Shabbos, and used to bring people in right before Shabbos started. And as Shabbos finished, he ran to get to do more Parnasa, to pick people up or bring them back to the train station. And unfortunately, as we all know, as the Yetzer Hara works, eventually he actually broke Shabbos, and he was Mechal Shabbos, even in Befaresia, in public. And the Rav of the city tried to do the best to try to make him stop, and he promised he would stop, but he didn't. Meanwhile, his father went through a very difficult time, and he tried also to stop. He didn't actually really try to stop him. So he turned a blind eye, as they say, and his son continued to be Mechal Shabbos. One day, there was a certain event happened in a different city in Vilna, where a lot of the big Rabbanim came and had to do a certain kenes that had to do with chinuch, and it was led by the Chofetz Chaim and the Achiezer. And before they started going on the train to go back each to their own city, suddenly the Rav of the city that I mentioned earlier, he looks out the window and he can't believe it. He can't believe it. He sees the father of the person that's Mechal Shabbos limping and walking towards the train. And he quickly went up to him and he says, "Oh, are you cured now? You left the hospital, everything's okay? The doctors let you leave?" And the father of the person that was Mechal Shabbos, the taxi cab driver's father, he says, "Not really. I haven't recovered. I haven't fully recovered. I'm far from it. But I had to come to this train to drive to Radin because I had a crazy dream last night. My grandmother came to me in the dream, which passed away already many years ago, and she said, 'No doctor is going to cure you. Go get a bracha, go get a blessing from the Chofetz Chaim.'" So the Rav of the city told him, "Listen, you don't have to go far. He's over here in the next seat, over here, 5 seats across from me." So this person got very amazed. He's like, this is a sign from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The dream is true. The dream is true. He got so excited. And the Chofetz Chaim was in the middle of some tefillah. So quickly, before this father of the taxi driver realized, this Rav went to the husband of the grandchild of the Chofetz Chaim, granddaughter of the Chofetz Chaim, the husband, and he said to her, "Quickly, tell the Chofetz Chaim this person's coming to him, and tell him, whisper to him that actually his son is Mechal Shabbos. Maybe he can persuade him to try to get him to stop." But unfortunately, they didn't get there in time, because right when the Chofetz Chaim finished davening, this person approached him, started to talk to him, and he asked him, "Please, can you give me a bracha?" So don't forget, the Chofetz Chaim doesn't know anything. He just knows that this innocent person that looks very sick and is bandaged up is asking for a bracha. And all this, don't forget, is being witnessed by, in the Sefer he writes it, of Zalman Sorotskin Zatzal. So he hears the Chofetz Chaim saying the following, as all the train at that point is listening into this conversation, as you can imagine. Chofetz Chaim Gadol Ador over the time. And the Chofetz Chaim says, "What? You want a blessing from me? He didn't even say, "You want a blessing from me." He said the following words, "Mi ten lecha bracha Yisrael Meir." He said, what? Yisrael Meir, which was, we all know the Chofetz Chaim's name. Yisrael Meir is going to give you a bracha? You think my blessing is going to help you? You know who Hashem gave over the blessing to? To the Heilige Shabbos. The Shabbos got blessed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that is the makor, the origin of all the blessings. So why are you asking a bracha from me? Then the Chofetz Chaim was silent for a moment, and then he went on to say, "You know what? Why not? I'll give you a bracha. If you'll keep Shabbos according to the law, according to the halacha, then, and you'll get the blessing of Shabbos, then okay, then also Israel Meir, which is the Chofetz Chaim, I'll give you a bracha as well. But if you're not willing to keep Shabbos, and you think that it's going to suffice for you to get a bracha from Israel Meir, that can't be. That's impossible. I don't have the strength. I don't have the power. I don't have the yecholet to do such a thing. After another break, the Chofetz Chaim went on to say, maybe you'll say that you do keep Shabbos, and therefore you are deserving of the bracha for me as well. Look carefully what it says in the Torah. The only place, I don't know if it's the only place, I don't know if he said those words, but he says, what does it say by Shabbos? Lo ta'aseh kol melacha, don't do any melacha, any melacha on Shabbos, but it doesn't only say you shouldn't do. It says, ata ubincha ubitecha, you, your son and your daughter. This warning, this azhara, it wasn't said about putting tefillin on, be careful to put tefillin on you and your son, and etc. And you don't see it anywhere else. Not in Basar B'chalav, don't eat meat and milk together. It doesn't say you and your son and your daughter. Only in Shabbos it's such a lashon. So you see that we all know this mitzvahs chinuch, of course, to be mechanish your kids and all the mitzvahs. Mitzvahs aseh, and to refrain from mitzvahs lo taseh. But there's obviously this special importance from a certain perspective in Shabbos. And that's what the Chofetz Chaim was trying to give over to him. So therefore he continued to say, and maybe you do keep Shabbos, but your son, he drives on Shabbos. How did Chofetz Chaim know that? Pele. Yaduach HaKodesh. Probably something on that level, just like we know Reb Chaim, etc. Ubitcha, and your daughter, she combs her hair on Shabbos, and we know you're not allowed to, because there's a special halacha that if it's a unique brush for Shabbos, very soft, and there's no risk of uprooting a hair, it's okay. But she just combed her hair all the time. How Chofetz Chaim knew that? No one knows. So he said, I'm sorry, if you're not taking care of your son and daughter to ensure they refrain from breaking Shabbos, Gam Yisrael Meir can't give you the bracha. As the Chofetz Chaim finished, the father started bursting in tears. And he said, okay, I promise I'll do my best to get them to stop to break Shabbos. And therefore the Chofetz Chaim went ahead and gave him the bracha. The end of the story, I don't know, but that's the story I do know as it was written in the Sefer. Ad kan hakafa aleph. That's something, the importance of the idea that Shabbos is blessed by Kadosh Baruch Hu, and there's extra importance, as we see in the Psukim, that Kadosh Baruch Hu over here warned also a person, not only himself, but also his son and daughter. Now let's move on to another topic, which has a very important fundamental concept of how we should be living life. We move on now to Perik Beis Pasuk Hey. The Pasuk talks about that the trees and any other thing that was on earth had not yet sprouted. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu had not sent rain upon the earth. And therefore there was... Why? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu not send rain yet? Harei, we know, Rashi says that already on the third day, it says, Vatotzei haaretz. It already brought out trees and stuff. So then Rashi answers that, Lo yatzu ela al petach karka. They only came out of the ground a little bit, and they waited till the 6th day. Because only on the 6th day HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought rain. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu wait till the 6th day if he already brought out all the trees and stuff on the 3rd day? Because there wasn't a person over there. Adam HaRishon wasn't created yet. And only Adam HaRishon realized that they needed rain. And when Adam realized that, and he realized the world was created in a way that it needs rain, then he davened, hitpalel alehem, and then yardu, and then they sprouted all the trees and all the asavim, etc., etc. Says on this pasuk, Rav Yeruchem Levovitz Zatzal, the mashkiach of the Heilige Yeshivas Mir, he's in his sefer, the famous sefer Das Torah, he said, you see a mordike concept over here. That really, he says it in a very extreme way. I'll try to water it down a bit. But in order to really reach your maximum potential, there is a very important fundamental t'nai built into that, and that is that you daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to ask your requests. We know Shmoneh Esrei is built like that. We have so many requests, but you see this throughout the Chumash. You see it in this pasuk that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't do rain. Why didn't do rain? No, the rain needed to come only once Adam HaRishon davened for it. That is the spiritual DNA in the world. Not only spiritual, also physical. That's what Rav Yeruchem says. Ben ruchani, ben gashmi. A person needs to daven for something. Whatever he feels he needs to do, he needs to get, he has to daven for it. Even if he's deserving of it, he still needs to daven for it. We saw that in Avraham Avinu, he says. We saw that in Sarai when she didn't have a child and she davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's only through the davening that she received a child. Same thing we saw by Yitzchak and Rivka, that they davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for a child. Leah, Rachel, like it says by Leah, Vayar Hashem kisnu'a Leah v'yiftach es rachma. And also Rachel, when she davened to have a kid, then it says, V'gam shama bekoli, Hashem listened to me. And based on him listening to me, screaming to him and davening to him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me a child as well. Now these are, we're talking about G'doi Le'olam, the Avos, the Imos, what they didn't have enough merits, enough schuyos to be getting the Yeshua, and yet you still see that they needed to daven to be able to get it. We see the same thing when HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed Bnei Yisrael and took them out of Mitzrayim. There was already a promise made. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take him out of Mitzrayim. Still, it's evident in the Psukim that it says, Vayishma Hashem es na'akasam, and also only after HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard them screaming, only then he took them out. It sounds like it was totally dependent on that they davened and screamed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That was the turning point, when we screamed out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It seems like that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, that when it is imperative that you daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for what you really want. Some people get things without davening for them. That's because that's the initial stage that they need. Once they have those things, but the true things they really, really want, after the things they got automatically, they need to ask for. That's just the initial default. Kacha hu masbir. And he explains that that's the secret weapon of tefillah. It literally cracks an opening in the rekim. It's bokeh the rekia, and through that it brings presence down to a person. A person should always concentrate on tefillah. And with that he explains the Gemara in Brachos Daf Lamed Beis. Amar Rav Elazar. Rav Elazar says, G'doila tefillah yoiser mimaasim tovim. You should know, davening tefillah HaKadosh Baruch Hu with your heart is bigger than all the ma'asim tovim a person can do. Why? Because you don't have a bigger person that had ma'asim tovim, that did good deeds from Moshe Rabbeinu. She'en lecha gadol b'ma'asim tovim Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom. And even though there wasn't a person bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu, af al pi chen, the only way he was answered for his request was via davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, via tefillah. Af al pi chen lo nena ela b'tefillah. How do we know this? Shene'emar dvarim gimel, al tosef davar elai. Don't ask me anything more. Because if he would continue to ask more, his tefillah would be so strong. HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have to let him enter Eretz Yisrael, because he sinned on his level, of course, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you're not going to enter Eretz Yisrael. But the Gemara does say, and right after that Hashem said, it's in the merit of your davening, I'm going to allow you at least to see Eretz Yisrael. And then it says straight after, V'samich lei, and the next psukim say, go up to the mountain so that you can at least see Eretz Yisrael. Ale Rosh HaPisgo. So basically, to summarize, what we're trying to bring home is also the importance of Shabbos, due to the fact that Kadosh Baruch Hu made it Makoir HaBroche and was Mekadesh the Shabbos. We should appreciate that and realize that how special and what a schus we have to keep Shabbos, and we should actually try to keep Shabbos as much as we can, even though it's not always so easy, but we should realize that is what's giving us, that gufa is what's giving us the bracha. And so too, any shefa we have is really totally dependent on our tefillah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sometimes just waiting up there, but if we don't daven for it, if we're not mispalel for it, we're not going to get it. It's chaval. Just want to end off with, to tell you, many times I went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, and I asked him, what should I do in this case? I feel like I need to do something. What should I do? What should I do? And I think 90% of the times he answered me, it's all about tefillah. You need to daven. You need to daven. He said that to me, and he said it in letters he wrote back to my wife when she asked him certain questions. Yiratzon, that we'll be able to grow in these two aspects. Take with us all the koiches we got now from all the Hoshana, Yom Kippur, Sukkos, and try to maybe concentrate a bit more on these two important ideas of Shabbos and tefillah, which I think complement each other. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Prism of Torah. Visit our website, prismoftorah.com, where you'll find a full archive of hundreds of past Divrei Torah. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and don't forget to share with your friends and family. Sponsorship opportunities are available for all of our episodes. Thank you, Yona Vefa, for your recording equipment. Produced by Eli Podcast Productions.